Mason's ship shook hard as fire alarms echoed in his ears. Red lights flashed across the control panel, and smoke filled the small cockpit. The navigation system blinked, then went dark. Mason grabbed the emergency lever and pulled hard. Duh! Ship tilted downward and spiraled toward the unknown planet below. "Come on! Hold together," he muttered, his knuckles white as he held the controls. But the ship didn't listen. It crashed into the thick forest of glowing blue trees, tearing through branches before slamming into the ground. The impact knocked him out for a few seconds. When Mason woke up, everything was silent. He coughed, pulled off his helmet, and looked. Around, the ship was broken wires, hung down, and smoke rose from the engine. He had crash-landed, and now he was completely alone. He stepped outside, breathing in the air. To his surprise, it was fresh. He checked his scanner oxygen level. Was safe. Gravity felt normal. Still, something felt strange. He looked up and saw two suns in the sky, one gold and one pale purple. The forest glowed faintly as if the trees had soft lights inside them. The leaves were silver blue, and small floating lights buzzed around, him like fireflies. Mason grabbed his backpack, a small survival kit, and began walking. His ship's signal was dead, but he hoped someone from his crew would come searching. Maybe another ship had picked up his emergency beacon. After walking for 2 hours, he reached a wide-open area with strange buildings. They were tall, smooth, and curved like shells. Odd vehicles floated above the ground, shaped like raindrops. The place was not empty. In fact, it was full of life. Dozens of people walked around, but they were all women. Tall, short, young, old, but not a single man. Mason blinked in confusion. He took a step forward. A few women turned and saw him. They froze. One of them dropped the box she was holding. Another covered her mouth, eyes wide with shock. Whispers started, then gasps. More women turned to look, and soon everyone stopped what they were doing. They stared at Mason like he was something impossible. Hi, he said, trying to sound calm. No one answered. Instead, the women started walking toward him, slowly at first, then faster. Mason stepped back. A young woman with silver hair reached him first. "You're real?" she whispered. Mason nodded. "Yeah, I'm human. I just crash-landed. I'm not here to cause trouble. I just need help." More women gathered around him. Some touched his arm, some stared at his face. One even tried to smell his hair. "Okay, that's enough, Mason," said, stepping back. But they didn't stop. A group of armored women arrived, guards maybe. They wore silver suits and carried glowing batons. They looked at Mason, then at the crowd. "Stand aside," one of the guards said. "We need to bring him to the registry." "The what?" Mason asked, nervous. "You'll be safe," one of them said. "Don't resist." The guards surrounded him and gently pushed the crowd back. Mason followed, unsure what else to do. He was taken to a tall white building with floating doors. Inside, glowing panels scanned his body. A hologram of his DNA appeared in the air. The women around him gasped again. "He is illy male," someone whispered. "Of course I'm male," Mason said. "What's going on here? Where are the men?" A woman in a long robe stepped forward. Her eyes were calm, but curious. "You are the first man to set foot on this planet in over 100 years, she said. Mason stared at her. "What?" She nodded. "Long ago, a virus wiped out all male life here. We survived using cloning and artificial means, but no male has ever been seen since." Mason's heart pounded. "Okay, but I'm not staying. Just need help getting back to my ship. Maybe send a signal to Earth." The woman didn't answer. Instead, she turned to the others. "He must be registered. According to law, any male who arrives here must be protected, studied, and preserved." "Preserved," Mason repeated, eyebrows raised. "I'm not some lab rat." The guards looked uneasy. The robed woman gave a soft smile. "You are a rare being. Some here will see you as a gift. Others may want more than that." Mason didn't like the sound of that. Later, he was given a room, clean, soft, but locked. A meal was placed in front of him, full of fruits and soft glowing bread. Everything looked healthy, but he couldn't eat. He paced the room. Outside, he saw crowds gathering. They pressed against the glass walls, staring at him. Some pointed, some smiled, some waved. He felt trapped. They didn't mean to harm him, but they didn't treat him like a person either. He was a symbol, a lost treasure. Something to be watched, studied. Owned Mason sat down, running a hand through his hair. "I have to get out of here," he whispered. He didn't know it yet, but someone was watching from the shadows. One of the guards had not spoken much. She had golden eyes and a quiet way of moving. Her name was Leia, and unlike the others, she didn't see a prize in Mason. She saw a man who didn't belong, and something deep inside her wanted to help him escape. Mason sat on the soft bed in the strange white room. Outside, crowds still gathered. They stared through the glass walls, whispering and pointing like he was some kind of animal in a zoo. Every hour, a different group of women came to look at him. Some brought sketch pads, others took notes. They didn't speak to him, they just observed. He had lost track of time. There were no clocks, and the twin suns outside made it hard to know what was day or night. Mason tapped the glass wall. "Hey, can I get a message to Earth?" "Anyone?" he shouted. No one answered. He sighed and dropped to the floor, leaning against the wall. Then the door opened. A familiar face stepped in. It was one of the guards, the quiet one with golden eyes. She had a smooth voice and calm steps. Her name tag read, "Leia. You shouldn't shout," she said softly. Mason looked up at her. "I'm not trying to be rude, but this isn't right. I didn't come here to be studied. I crashed. I need help." Leia nodded. She didn't speak for a moment, then said, "I believe you." He blinked. "You do?" "Yes. You're not like the old stories," she said. "The book said men were wild, dangerous, always fighting. That you're just hate. Lost." Mason gave a small laugh. "I've been called many things, but lost is the most honest." Leia looked around the room, then leaned closer. "Need to be careful. Many here think you belong to everyone now. It's not in a cruel way, just because of how things have been for so long. But I don't belong to anyone," Mason said. "I'm a person, not a thing." "I know," she whispered. For a second, their eyes met, then she handed him something, a small metal square. "This is an access chip. It will open the door just once. Use it when the guards change shifts. You'll have 15 minutes. Mason stared at her, surprised. "Why are you helping me?" Leia looked away. "'Cause I don't like cages. Not for anyone." Before he could thank her, she walked out, leaving him alone again. Mason looked at the chip, holding it tightly. He had a chance now, but he needed to act fast and smart. That night, he waited until the hallway outside was quiet. The lights dimmed and the crowd was gone. Pressed the chip to the door, and with a soft click, it opened. He stepped into the hallway, heart pounding. The walls glowed faintly, and he could hear distant footsteps. But no one was close. Mason moved quickly, remembering the path Leia had taken before. He passed strange rooms with glowing machines, blue water flowing through tubes, and doors that slid open without sound. After 10 minutes, he found a large storage room. Inside, broken machines and old tech lay in piles. In the corner, his own gear was stored: his suit, his scanner, and his comm device. "Yes," he whispered, grabbing them. He turned on the scanner. No signal. Then he tried the comm. Nothing. But static. Still no contact with Earth, he muttered. He needed to reach his ship. Maybe the main beacon there still worked, but as he stepped out, an alarm blared. They had found him. Guards rushed into the hallways. Red lights flashed. Mason ran, turning corners and dodging patrols. He finally reached a glass door that led outside. The trees glowed in the dark, and the air smelled fresh. But before he could step out, he was blocked. A group of guards stood in front of him, and behind them, Leia. She stepped forward. The other guards stared at her, confused. "Stand down," she said. "He's escaping." One of them replied. "I gave him the chip. Leia said. Murmurs spread among them. Some were shocked. One guard raised her baton, but Leia stepped in front of Mason. "You're going to attack me?" she asked. "I followed the law all my life, but this isn't right." "He's not ours." The guards hesitated. They weren't used to questioning orders, but Leia's voice was calm and strong. After a long pause, they lowered their weapons. "He can't survive outside," one guard said. "The forest is dangerous. He doesn't need to go alone," Leia said quietly. "I'll guide him." Mason looked at her, surprised again. "You don't have to. I want to," she said, "and maybe I need to." Together, they stepped into the forest. The glowing trees lit their path. Strange sounds echoed in the distance, animal cries, rustling leaves, and faraway hums. Leia moved smoothly, like she had walked these woods 100 times. Mason followed her closely, watching every step. "Why did you really help me?" he asked after a while. Leia stopped and looked at him. "Because I was raised to believe men were stories. Monsters. But then I met you. And now, I don't know what to believe." Mason gave her a soft smile. "Maybe we can figure it out together." She nodded, and they kept walking. Deep in the forest, they reached a cliff. From there, they could see the smoke trail where Mason's ship had crashed. It was far, but not impossible. "We'll go at sunrise," Leia said. "Rest now. You'll need your strength." They sat by the edge, watching the twin suns set in silence. Two strangers from two worlds, both unsure of what would happen next. But one thing was clear: they were not alone anymore. The sky slowly changed colors as the two suns rose together, one gold, the other pale purple. Warm light passed through the glowing trees, lighting the forest with soft colors. Mason opened his eyes and looked around. Birds with silver feathers flew across the sky. The air was calm, but inside him, his thoughts were racing. Leia was already awake. She sat near the edge of the cliff, watching the crash site in the distance. Mason sat beside her. "You didn't sleep much," he said. "I couldn't," she replied. "I kept thinking about what happens next." Mason looked at her. "You don't have to come with me, you know. You helped me escape. It's already more than I could ask for." Leia didn't look at him. "I want to go. The moment you came here, I started questioning everything I've believed. Maybe if I see more of your world, I'll understand better." Mason nodded. "Then let's move." They packed a few supplies: water, cubes, energy bars, and a small scanner Leia had brought with her. The forest was large and wild. Some paths were blocked by huge roots, others by glowing vines that moved slightly in the breeze. As they walked, Leia told him stories about her. "People long ago, we were like other planets," she said. "Men and women, families, children. But then the sickness came. Only the men died. Scientists tried to fix it, but nothing worked, so we adapted." "What about relationships?" Mason asked carefully. "We were told love was unnecessary. Connection was a weakness. Survival came first." Mason stayed quiet. It was hard to imagine growing up without family or even stories of love. He could feel the weight in Leia's voice. Not sadness, just emptiness, as if something important had been missing her whole life. They kept walking. Hours passed. When they finally stopped to rest, Mason took out a small tool and began fixing the signal chip from his suit. "Will that help us call your people?" Leia asked. "Maybe. If the crash beacon is still working, I can boost its range using this chip." He looked at her. "You really never met a man before?" "Never," she said. "We read about them in training, saw old videos. But none of us believed they were like the stories. Now, I see they were wrong." Mason smiled. "Not all men are good, Leia. Oh, but we're not all monsters either." Suddenly, the scanner in his hand beeped. He looked down and saw a pulse. His ship was just a few kilometers away. "We're close," he said. They moved quickly through the trees. The closer they got, the more signs of the crash appeared: broken branches, scorched soil, twisted metal. Finally, they reached the clearing where his ship lay in pieces. Mason ran to it, heart pounding. The outside was burned, but the beacon, Light still blinked faintly. He jumped inside and started working. Leia stood outside, watching the forest carefully. "How long will it take?" she asked. "If the power cell isn't fried, I just need to connect the chip," Mason said. He worked fast, hands shaking slightly. The control screen flickered, then came alive. He typed in his ID code and waited. "This is Mason Jared. On planet Elira 5. Coordinates uploading. Requesting pickup," he said into the mic. The signal bar blinked. "Come on. Reach them," he whispered. Outside, Leia stepped closer. "What if they come for you? Will you leave right away?" Mason looked up. "I don't know. I want to go home. A part of me feels like I just started learning something important." Leia looked down. "And what about me?" Mason stood up. "What about you?" "I don't know where I belong anymore," she said. "I broke rules to help you. I lied to my team. If I go back, I'll be punished. But if I stay here, I don't know what I'll be." Mason walked over to her. "Then, stay with me, at least until the rescue ship arrives. We'll figure it out together." Leia nodded slowly. "Okay." Suddenly, a soft humming sound filled the air. A transport flyer, sleek, silver, and fast, appeared above the trees. It hovered for a moment, then slowly descended into the clearing. Mason and Leia backed away as it landed. The ship opened, and a human officer stepped out, eyes wide with shock when she saw Mason. "Sir, we got your signal. We've been searching for days. Are you injured?" "No, I'm fine. But this is Leia. She helped me survive. I wouldn't be here without her." The officer looked at Leia with caution. "We weren't expecting company." "She's not a threat," Mason said quickly. More humans stepped out, scanning the area and checking the crash site. Mason watched them work, feeling strange. He had dreamed of rescue, but now that it was here, part of him felt unsure. "We'll take you both to the main ship for now," the officer said. "Command will decide what to do next." Mason looked at Leia. She gave a small nod, ready to follow him. As the flyer rose into the sky, Mason stared out the window, watching the glowing trees grow smaller. Leia sat beside him, silent. They had escaped. But the real test was just beginning. The transport flyer hummed softly as it moved through the planet's thin atmosphere. Mason sat beside Leia, both staring out at the strange blue-green world beneath them. Mason's mind was racing, trying to understand everything that had happened, and what might come next. "What will happen when we reach the ship?" Leia asked quietly. Mason looked at her. "I don't know. I think they want to study me, maybe keep me safe. But I'm not sure if I want to stay in their hands much longer." Leia nodded. "Back on my planet, I would have been punished for helping you. Breaking the law is serious. But I couldn't just leave you trapped there." Mason reached out and took her hand. "Thank you for that. More than you know." Leia smiled softly, but didn't say anything. After a while, the flyer landed gently. Inside a large human spaceship. It was sleek and silver, with bright lights and many windows. Mason and Leia were greeted by several crew members, who looked surprised to see Leia with him. "Who is she?" one officer asked. "She's my guide," Mason said quickly. "She helped me survive. I trust her." The captain, a tall woman with short hair, approached. "Welcome aboard, Mason. We're glad you're alive." "Thank you, Captain," Mason replied. The captain turned to Leia. "And you?" "I'm Leia," she said. "I'm from Elira 5. I helped Mason after his crash." The captain raised her eyebrows. "Elira 5. The planet with no men." Leia nodded. "This is unprecedented," the captain said. "You'll both be held for questioning and medical checks. After that, we'll decide the next steps." Mason felt a knot in his stomach. He wanted to be free but didn't know how to get there. Later, in a small medical bay, machines scanned Mason and Leia. They both sat quietly as the doctors checked their vitals. "Your health is excellent, Mason," one doctor said. "Biology is unlike anything we've seen here before," Mason asked. "How do you mean?" "Your DNA shows traits not common in known human variants," the doctor explained. "This could explain why you survived the crash with so little injury." Mason nodded, trying to absorb the information. Leia's checkup was next. The doctor scanned her carefully, curious about her unusual eye color and the glowing vines she had on her skin. "You have a unique genetic structure," the doctor said. "It will take time to understand how your species adapted without males." Leia looked at Mason. "We survived by cloning, but it was never perfect." Mason placed his hand on hers. "I'm sorry." "Don't be," Leia said softly. "It didn't cause this." After the exams, they were taken to a secure holding area. The walls were white and smooth with soft lighting. Mason paced while Leia sat, watching him. "Why didn't you want to leave your planet?" Mason asked. Leia looked away, because it was all I knew. Because I feared change. "What do you fear now?" "Losing everything I have here," she said. "But maybe I'm ready for something new." Mason smiled. Change can be good. That night, Mason dreamed of Earth's the blue oceans, green forests, and his family. But the dream was interrupted by the voices of women from Alira 5, whispering about the man and the gift. He woke with a start. Leia was there watching him. "You're scared," she said. "I am," Mason admitted. "But I also feel hopeful." "Me too," Leia said. The next morning, the captain called them to a conference room. Several leaders from the human fleet were there, along with scientists and diplomats. "Mason, Leia," the captain began. "Your story is unique. It raises many questions about biology, culture, and diplomacy." One scientist spoke up. "Need to study both of you carefully. The genetics could change our understanding of life." A diplomat added, "And the political impact of this discovery could be huge. Alira 5 may become a key ally or a challenge, depending on how we handle this." Mason stood, feeling nervous. "I'm not a lab rat or a political tool. I just want to go home." The room fell silent. Leia stepped forward. "He helped me see a world beyond fear and rules. We can learn from each other." The captain nodded slowly. "We will respect your wishes, but first, we need to ensure everyone's safety." After the meeting, Mason and Leia returned to their room. Mason looked out the window at the stars. "You think we'll be free soon?" he asked. Leia shrugged. "Maybe. But we have to be patient." Mason sighed. "I didn't expect this journey to be easy." "Nothing worth it ever is," Leia said. They sat together in silence, two strangers. From different worlds, bound by fate and hope, days passed slowly inside the human ship. Mason and Leia were watched closely, but the guards were kinder now. They were no longer just prisoners. They'd become subjects of curiosity and hope. Mason spent hours talking to the scientists. Asked him about Earth, about human life, about families and emotions. Mason was happy to share, but he missed the freedom of his old life. Leia stayed mostly quiet, observing. Sometimes she would sit beside Mason, listening to his stories. Slowly, she began to smile more. One afternoon, Mason sat near a window, watching distant stars. Leia joined him. "Do you think the others will accept us?" Mason asked. "Which others?" Leia replied. "Both our worlds," Mason said. "Yours where men haven't lived for generations, and mine where humans rarely meet other species." Leia looked away. "There is fear on both sides. Fear of change, fear of losing control." Mason nodded. "But we can change that. We just need time." Their conversation was interrupted by a sudden alarm. Red lights flashed, and the ship shook. "What's happening?" Mason asked, standing quickly. A crew member rushed by. "An unknown fleet is approaching. They've detected our location." The captain entered the room. "We don't know their intentions. Prepare for possible attack." Mason felt his heart race. He never wanted to fight again, but now war seemed close. Leia grabbed his hand. "We face this together." The crew worked fast, preparing defenses and readying weapons. Mason and Leia were taken to the command deck. Through the large windows, they saw ships sleek and dark closing in fast. "Enemy vessels," the captain said grimly. "They want the signal we sent." "Why?" Mason asked. "Because they fear what your arrival means," Leia said quietly. "They want to keep Alira 5 isolated." Mason clenched his fists. Then we have to fight for our right to be free. The battle began with loud blasts and flashing lights. The human ship fired lasers, and the enemy ships dodged and attacked. Back, Mason watched in awe and fear. He wasn't a soldier, but he helped where he could, passing messages, operating controls. Supporting the crew, Leia stood beside him, calm but focused. She was not a fighter, but her presence gave Mason strength. After hours, enemy fleet withdrew, damaged but not destroyed. "This is just the beginning," the captain said. "They won't stop." Mason looked at Leia. "We need a plan." Leia nodded, and allies. In the following days, Mason and Leia worked with diplomats and scientists to send messages to nearby planets. They explained their story, seeking help and friendship. Slowly, support came. Small fleets arrived to protect them, and messages of peace spread. Mason and Leia grew closer. They shared hopes, fears, and dreams. One evening, as they watched the twin suns set, Leia spoke softly. "I never imagined a man could be a friend, or more." Mason smiled. "Neither did I." They knew their journey was far from over, but together, they had found something rare: trust, hope, and the possibility of a new future. The days grew longer as the fleet around the human ship grew stronger. Mason and Leia spent more time together, learning about each other's worlds and dreams. The bond between them deepened, built on trust and understanding. One morning, Mason stood on the deck, looking out at the stars. Leia joined him silently. After a moment, she spoke. "Mason, what will you do once you leave this place?" He looked at her. "I want to return to Earth, to my family. But now I don't know if I can leave you or this planet behind." Leia smiled softly. "Maybe you don't have to." Mason was surprised. "What do you mean, your arrival changed more than just the laws here?" she said. "You gave hope. You reminded us of something lost. Perhaps there is a new path, one where we can build together." They spent weeks working with the human fleet and Alira 5's council to find a solution for the planet's future. They talked about sharing knowledge, culture, even finding ways to restore the balance of life. One day, a message arrived from Earth. Mason's family had heard the news and were waiting to welcome him home. The joy was bittersweet. On the last night before the rescue ship arrived, Mason and Leia stood under the twin moons holding hands. "I never thought I'd find a home here," Mason said. "But with you, it feels possible." Leia looked up at the stars. "Maybe this is just the beginning for both our worlds." When the rescue ship landed, Mason knew it was time to choose. He looked at Leia and said, "I want to stay, to help build a future where no one is property and everyone is free." Leia smiled, tears in her eyes. "Then let's make it happen." Together, they stepped forward, ready to face whatever came next. Their story became a symbol of hope and change across the galaxy, a reminder that even in the darkest places, friendship and trust could light the way.